He paused. Had to get into a little bit of a better mood. Y'all. So let me jump right in this because the jump off was real. I had to get myself together after all of that. So y'all know with the whole transition and everything I'm going through, um, a lot, a lot. It's been a lot. But then again, I think before the transition, there was a lot there too. I think that sometimes you talk to people and their situation is nothing like your situation, and they try to tell you how you should act in your situation when they've never been in your shoes before. Those are people we probably shouldn't be talking about our situation with. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm a single parent. If you married, I don't think you can adequately guide me because you don't understand what it's like to be six people. And when I say six people, I mean I got three kids. So I'm a mama to kid one, kid two, and kid three. And sometimes I got to step in and do some masculine work as far as kid one, kid two, and kid three. It can be a lot. And so typically when you're married, the way it's supposed to go, some of y'all might be on the verge of a divorce. I'm not talking to you if that's the case. But typically the way that this should work is that if you're married, you're not playing both parts. And you all actually complement each other as far as the help goes because I'm my husband, he don't know this yet because he ain't here yet. But my husband is gonna be that husband that's gonna be like, your mama's tired, leave her alone, what you need? And vice versa. So it goes a little different when you trying to work out 50 million things and your kids want you to hear their problems and fix their problems too. So I think people look at it like, I don't understand how you tired. How you supposed to press forward if you're tired? Fam, this be a lot. And I'm doing this video because I had something added to my plate and I realized my reaction in this. And so I had to have some things deactivated, reactivated, installed, uninstalled, and things like that. And I had a technician in my home. And, most places give you a window. This particular technician was on the money. He called and said, I finished up my job an hour early. Is it okay if I head over? Well, the window was 4 hours. It's going to take you a couple hours and you get here at the end of them 4 hours. That's my whole day. So, of course, I'm like, oh, sure, yeah. Um, so he shows up and he's not wearing a mask. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little perturbed because I get it. Everybody had their own opinion. But the thought about preserving other people's lives is not there when you show up and you don't have on a mask. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep my distance. His work is up there. I'm going to come back here, whatever the case may be. There came a point where he had to explain some things to me and actually show me how something needed to be done. Um, and so this happened on a Saturday. Um, the following Thursday, I got the call from this particular company telling me that on Monday, that technician tested positive for COVID. He didn't been in my home. So now I'm not gonna lie, I froze because I've already been uncomfortable going to work. Y'all know we on a hybrid schedule for work and I'm taking the train. And I'm already uncomfortable getting on the train. You touching seats and everything. You're not sitting with anybody, but still, you got to touch the doors, the rails, and everything. And I'm sorry. It's like they said, take the mask off. And the first thing everybody thought was that this was okay, we're good, and nobody's contagious and all this other stuff. That is not the effing case. I just did a video. I told you I got a 7-year-old. There's nothing to protect her from this right now. And so I had to protect me in order to protect her. I'm not trying to give her anything. So obviously that shook me to my core when I got that call, right? Um, and here's the thing. I stopped everything. I literally stopped everything. It turned into, okay, well, we need to be preparing for the worst. And we need to wipe everything down. Like I went into this mode. They might as well have called and told me you got it, because that's That's the way I was acting. So, so of course, I had to get myself together. This was like the worst 24 hours of my life ever. And the lady that called me was like, well, it's been 5 days. I think that at this point you should be symptomatic if you had it. And here's the thing, y'all stay with me now. Here's the thing. When people tell you somebody else got something, you've been around them, all of a sudden mentally you got the symptoms. I know I ain't a phony person. All of a sudden I'm sitting there like, well, I have been clearing my throat a lot today. Oh, and then I sneezed twice on the train. I don't know if it was somebody on the train or if I actually have it. Like, this is where my man went, and I had to really get myself together. And it was like, okay, you can actually solve this. You can go get tested and just see if you're, if you're okay. But what I got out of this when I finally came out of this whole wrath, because it was a wrath, baby, what I noticed is that we, and it's not just a COVID thing. We'll get diagnosed with something, and it's almost like the diagnosis means death. And I don't just mean like illness, because we have to triage, treat, and then diagnose a job. We have to do this for relationships. It's not always a medical thing. Some of us had to come out of certain relationships because at the end of the day, the diagnosis to that relationship is that it was unhealthy and it was probably killing you. And now, because of this diagnosis, which is really the reality, I'm going to hand you what has been wrong with you all this time. This is what the diagnosis is. I'm going to tell you what's been wrong with you all this time. And then we have to figure out a way to treat this. Even if you coming out of a relationship, if the diagnosis is that you have to come out of the relationship, all of a sudden you dying a slow death because you act like you can't live without this person. I think that we underestimate how, when something is diagnosed, how quickly we kill ourselves off. If we don't get the job or the position, all of a sudden we deem ourselves inadequate, and we're not looking for anything else. We figure it's meant for us to sit here and wallow in this position or in this job and not go any further. We literally get a diagnosis for something, and all of a sudden we're dead. And it's certain things what we have to come out of is that if it's diagnosed, we allow the diagnosis to kill our dreams and aspirations. All of a sudden we're not good enough. All of a sudden it's just not going to work. You might have started a business and the first year it failed, and all of a sudden you sitting here saying, well, I did this wrong. It wasn't meant for me to do this. No, maybe you just weren't adequately educated that first year. You needed to be surrounded around more like-minded people in that first year. So the second year you go about it different. Maybe you were diagnosed with something you weren't expecting to get diagnosed with, and now you're looking at it like, now I have to live with this. Just because you have to live with it don't mean you die bad. All that means is that you're giving if it's not killing you that day, that means that you have a second chance to wake up. That means that you have a second chance to touch somebody else's life with what you didn't went through. If it was a mistake and it was a lesson learned at some point in that, you're going to have to give it to somebody else to help them along. Just because we're diagnosed with something does not mean it's death. Stop killing yourself the minute a decision is made regarding what you've been going through all this time. Because I'm not going to lie, I thought I was about to die. I was like, I can't breathe. I got off the phone with the lady like, I had to really go back and think about this. Like, I took the answer to everything that I was going through, the diagnosis to everything that I was going through was, there's a transition that has to happen here. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt as though a death came with the transition. It didn't look nothing like I thought it was gonna look, and I had got to the point of no return. Like, I literally was like, I'm not doing this, I'm throwing in the towel. I got inconsistent with everything, and where it started looking like things just were not going to get better, the increase for my children's needs came in. And somebody out there gonna get this. When you going through something, you have to put your stuff to the side because your kids are going through something. Now, I can't get them everything I'm going through if they got their own little personal storm. As they parent, I'm supposed to adequately guide them through that. I can't guide nobody nowhere if I'm sitting here going toe to toe with them and they problems and what I got going on. This ain't no contest. This is shut your mouth about you. Put your pride to the side, your feelings, your anger, and everything else about your situation, and listen to what your child got going on. You never know how this might be affecting them. So because I've had to put it to the side so much, I had to get to the point where I was like, God, you got to help me because I got to help them. I can't keep being in a bad headspace when they calling on me. You've got to help me to help them. And the word started coming to me. There were different things that I started hearing. I ain't gonna lie, Bishop T.D. Jakes been slapping me all around with his sermons. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I've read some things. I've had people speaking to me on a level I've never even talked to them on. And I've questioned so much. And even though I didn't get the answer, I understood the relevancy it had in my transition. So I've come to understand that I have to look at things a little bit different. If it was time for you to die, God would have took you out. If there's a diagnosis that then came with something that you've been going through, understand the diagnosis was necessary in order to get you back healthy, in order to stabilize your mental, because you may be somewhere else because of what it is you're going through. Be it a relationship, a job, be it family. Sometimes you have to be diagnosed in order to know what exactly is wrong with you, and then move on from there. But it does not mean that you being diagnosed to die. Do not allow what you are being given as far as this is why this is happening. This is what needs to happen. Do not allow that to kill your dreams and aspirations. Use that to fuel your dreams and aspirations. Tell yourself, I shall live and not die. That's how that is supposed to go. And if you can get that to yourself, then you can give it to somebody else that gets that bad news of having cancer, or someone who finds out a relative is in critical condition somewhere and the family hasn't made it here yet. You can be that person that can speak life into somebody else when you understand that when something is given to you, it doesn't mean death. It means for you to live, and it means that you're supposed to move on and give what you've been through to somebody else at some point down the line. But in order for you to do that, you got to live through it. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm going into mama mode. But that's what I wanted to come out here and give you all. I love you all. I will see you next video. Please wear your mask.